What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Guys, we're gonna get right down to it, man. You guys already know the title of this video, you guessed it. Reviewing the Cxracing turbo kit for these Chevelles. Let's pop the hood, Toretto. Oh yeah. Okay, you guys, now obviously, once again, take this with a grain of salt. First things first, you guys should notice, if you look on their website, this turbo kit is designed for like the stock LS3 or even the fast in-tank. You guys can see we have the Holly mid-rise. Even if you had the high-rise, you'd have the same issues. Now, we actually had this thing plumbed one time with the LS3 style in-tank, but I didn't like it. I don't know, I wanted something different, so we changed the in-tank. But guess what? It threw all the plumbing, like basically the trash, if you think about it. We had to redo the cold side of it, and it became a nightmare. So what happens with the traditional Cxracing, it actually takes the intercooler. It actually takes the intercooler. Now mine's right up front. I don't know if you guys can see. Let me back up a little bit here. If you guys can see it in there. Mine's right up front here, right? In this kit, it actually puts the intercooler in between here, right? So you'll have the radiator, then you have the intercooler, and then your fans. But guess what? If you do all that, if you actually have it from the radiator support going towards the engine, you literally leave no room whatsoever up front here and all that. Like, they even give you this brace slash bracket that you have to put underneath the radiator to basically extend your radiator support to support the radiator, because you have to move everything forward. And with that being said, it just completely, there was no room for a cold air for the turbo side to come into the intake. So that's another reason why we relocated up front. Now, like I said, I'd rather have the intercooler up front either way to have as much room up here as possible, even if I was running the LS3 stock intake. That's kind of my reason. And my problem that I see with having that intake up here, it just pushes everything forward. I did not like that. But anyways, we relocated up front, but we had to get all crazy and custom. We had to get a custom fabrication going on the cold side, and even on the bracket to hold that thing up front. And not to mention the AC stuff, we had to redo all of that. Like, it's a pain in the ass. Now, mind you, the worst part about this kit to me is that there was a lot of things we couldn't use. For example, like, I couldn't use the actual lines, these lines here that they actually give you, that provide in the kit for your oil feed lines. They weren't long enough. They would reach on one side, because depending on where you're getting your oil pressure from. Now I'm getting mine from the driver's side over there by the oil filter. So that one that comes all the way over here didn't reach. So we had to get all new lines made for that, right? And then not only that, these things are supposed to be kind of symmetrical, right? Kind of almost like a mirror image from one to the other. And they don't sit perfectly like aligned with the outlet here. I don't know, like one side sits better than the other side. Like this side sits a lot lower than this side. And you can kind of tweak it, play with it a little bit here and there, but it's still not going to be right. That's another problem, right? Other thing is, you guys can see these headers. Now I've already wrapped them. I'm gonna end up having to try something else. I heard a lot of good things about the titanium stuff. So they produce a lot of heat, obviously, but they've already melted my spark plug wires once already, and it was a complete nightmare to guys. Like, put it this way, we had to remove this entire turbo kit slash downpipe just to reduce spark plugs and wires. It was absolutely a nightmare. It almost took me 2 days to do it. So whoever designed the manifold slash header wasn't thinking about serviceability, not to mention to get to the screws or anything like that. Because what you have is, you have this pipe, sorry about the lighting, guys. You got this pipe, right, that comes off the turbo as far as the outlet goes, pushing back the exhaust back to the back of the car. That thing literally runs right underneath, in between. If you're thinking about it, you're sandwiching the spark plugs between the header and that downpipe. So you have no room whatsoever for wires or spark plugs or even serviceability. It was absolutely a nightmare. Like, I can't emphasize that enough, guys. Like, to me, that should not be the right way to do it. Like, they should have came up with something. Even if this pipe came here and up and then back down and over. That probably would have been a better way to do it. To me, it doesn't make sense to have that pipe right next to your spark plug / wires. Like, there's too much heat there. Not to mention, if you guys are running like stock LS valve covers where your coil packs are sitting right here, there is no way you're going to get a wire right there. So another reason why we relocated our coil packs, because we had to custom make every single spark plug wire back to the coil pack, because you guys can see there is no room in there whatsoever for spark plug wires. You just can't. There are already got some silicone boot on there trying to protect them from that, and it's just seems to not work half the time. I did try to powder coat these a long time ago. As you guys can see, the heat's not holding up very well. I should say the powder coat's not holding up very well with the heat, but we're gonna probably ceramic coat those here in the future, if not completely titanium wrap the entire turbo kit. Now, I do like the fabrication on these pipes. They're actually pretty nice, believe it or not. Whoever did the fabrication work on them, they look really nice. The wells look good, but I just don't like how they set up these headers. I mean, like I said, there's just no serviceability. This side's probably worse, guys. You guys can see right there, there is no way you're getting anything from the top up here to work on anything, whether you're pulling the header off or you're having to change spark plugs out. I mean, to me, it's a nightmare. It's absolutely the worst design. Same thing here. You got this pipe that comes down here, and you literally are sandwiching your spark plug wires and your spark plugs. Like, in order to just do something as simple as that, you have to swap everything out. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know. There's just a lot of stuff like that that I'm having issues with. Like I said, take this with a grain of salt. I'm trying to think of anything else. Oh, I think they gave you like a oil filter adapter housing. That didn't work. Whatever that was in that kit, definitely not functional for this setup. Now, the turbos themselves, actually, they're pretty decent. I haven't really had too many issues with them, but I do see a few issues that I personally don't like. When you start clocking these things, you guys can see there's no room whatsoever. Ooh, that thing is hot. Holy crap. So there is no room whatsoever for like your lines. I mean, look, if you think about it, that one looks like it's actually touching right there. When you start clocking these turbos one way versus the other, there's just no room to get those fittings in there, even at the bottom for the drain. Like, the way they made these housings are just not user friendly, like, whatsoever. They're just kind of poorly made. Now, these are not the ball bearing style that they offer. This is just the regular ones. We just wanted to try them out, but like I said, they have been fairly decent. But I am having an issue where I'm getting too much oil being burned through the actual turbos. But I think that's just an oil pressure issue. So I might have to put a different type of reducer for the oil pressure line, because this motor puts out a lot of oil pressure. So we got to address that. But the biggest thing, if, like I said, take it with a grain of salt. If you guys are not running that LS3 style intake, you're going to have to replumb the entire system. Now, the one that I got, as far as system goes, I did not get the one that has the fully exhaust and everything else like that. And nor do I recommend it, because when they made this kit, it's just super generic and it sits way too low. Like, my exhaust sits way too low. So I'm having to redo the exhaust pipe somewhat, so that way we're not scraping on every bump and things like that. So there's, like I said, there's a lot of good components, don't get me wrong, but like I said, the best part about this, I think, is going to be probably the intercooler. This pipe's pretty decent right here, this kind of setup turbo area here, but I completely would not ever reuse these headers. Absolutely garbage. I just don't like the design on them. I mean, once they're on, they're okay, but there's just no room for serviceability. To me, if you can't get to it, what's the point? You know, if you can't service as simple as a spark plug and wires, it kind of defeats the purpose. But guys, I just want to kind of give you my honest opinion. Once again, you guys, this is my personal opinion. I mean, take it with however you want, but this is kind of the experience I've had. It's issues I am going through with this kit. Would I ever buy it again? No. I'd probably buy the intercooler, probably buy their turbos again, but I don't think, even the turbos, maybe the ball bearing ones might be a little bit better, but I wouldn't buy these particular ones just because of this setup right here with the oil feed and oil drain. I'm not a fan of that. Not only that, they give you like these different oil drain lines that I am not a fan of, that came with the kit. So there's just a lot of things that I did not end up using from the kit. And like I said, once again, if I ever do another turbo Chevelle, it will not be with this kit. But you guys already know, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and hit the bell for notifications, and stay wrenching.